My review of Goblin Slayer Volume 1. First off the bat, the character Goblin Slayer isn't exactly the main character of the story. He is simply one of the many characters that we will encounter throughout the entire series. The backstory to all of this will be several gods exist in the universe since the very beginning, right? Each had their own idea how the world should be, but to avoid conflict and to be at each other's throats, they decide to roll a die to make all decisions. As one would expect, it eventually became a stalemate. At this point, they're like, screw it, we'll create a world that's similar to a board game, with each piece representing themselves and certain races. In all this exists Goblin Slayer. Just an adventure that may or may not change anything in the world. That's just how it is. It's just another chess piece in the game for the gods. This series can be pretty dark. It's not like Konosuba where you know nothing will happen to the main cast, or SAO where you know the main character is extremely OP. People can die in this if you start a quest unprepared, or over a simple mistake can cost you or maybe your party's lives. For instance, some adventurers, majority of the time those that recently joined the guild, tend to underestimate goblins, which can lead to problems later on. Like the first part that was introduced in the story. Each member of that group had their own dreams and aspirations in life. The story was building them up like any other fantasy-based story, giving us backstory, letting us, the readers, know their motivations and stuff. But by doing that, it makes it more difficult to like sit here and read as you see the party gets wiped out. Either the male adventurer in the group get completely dismembered, or the woman of the group being raped. That's the kind of story Goblin Slayer is. Later on, the cast got expanded, including Cowgirl, the Dwarf, the Lizardman, the Priestess, and the Tsundere High Elf. In my opinion, I think they play a role to keep Goblin Slayer more grounded to reality. Because if you leave Goblin Slayer alone, all he's gonna think about and all he wanna do is kill goblins. You think something's wrong with this guy, right? But if you keep reading onwards, you will know or find out why he's like this. When he was younger, his village got raided by a horde of goblins, and Goblin Slayer's sister risked her life to protect him. And in the end, all he could do was hide and like hold back his screams as he watched the goblin rape his sister. That can mess you up. That really traumatized him. And that's why he's so dead set on wiping out all goblins. Sort of like Eren from Attack on Titan. The volume ends with a battle against an orc that uses magic and a goblin shaman that commands a horde of goblins. In both scenarios, because of his knowledge on goblins, that helped him out a lot. Especially in the battle against the orc. And honestly, he was extremely lucky in that battle. Even all his teammates and everything. The elf, the dwarf, the lizardman, the priestess and everything. He was still really lucky. Everything played out the way it did with his trump card working and everything. So yeah, I don't know, like, even the slightest mistake, the party would have been completely wiped out. Seriously. In comparison to the manga, the adaptation covers from chapter 1 to 15, if I remember correctly. The manga adaptation is pretty faithful to the light novel. It's just that it's more graphic, you know what I mean, with certain scenes, aka the rape scenes. In the light novel, we know they exist. It's mostly implied, but in the manga, it's just expressed more. That's really the only difference I really noticed. Anyway, what do you guys think of this volume? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. This is Cryptic, and I'm out.